Are you a real estate investor that's prepared for the market ahead? Stay tuned. Welcome to this week's edition of Note School TV, where we bring you the most amazing content every week when at 11:05 Central Time every Wednesday. So a couple of things before we get started. I'll ask you to go ahead and hit that like button. Yep, go ahead and hit it and let us know that you are liking and loving the content that we bring to you every week. Also, subscribe to Note School TV. So hit that subscribe button so that you'll have availability to all the library of the shows that we have been doing now for almost 20 months. So we'll celebrate a 2-year anniversary this fall. And then finally, hit that bell notification so that you will know every Wednesday when at 11:05 Central Time that we are going to go live here in just a few minutes. So also, for those of you that want more information on Note School and what we do at Note School, simply go to noteschool.com/TV, and we would be glad to reach out to you. We can reach out to you via email. We can talk to you on the phone, whatever works for you, because we want you to understand what we do and how we can show you how to close more deals at Note School. So now, as we do every week at this time, well, let's talk about the news. So we start out the news this week with, well, mortgage layoffs surge as rising interest rates crush lending activity. Yeah, that's a pretty big deal. Fred, which is the St. Louis Fed, of course, mortgage rates are, teetering right around 6%. Some are over, some are less. But guys, it is, I don't want to say a bloodbath, but, to kind of quote here, major brokerages, mortgage lenders, and property tech companies have all announced varying degrees of layoffs over the last few months. They're all in relation to the cooling housing markets because of low inventory and rising rates. So a couple of pieces here. So we know Wells is late, Wells Fargo, JP Morgan Chase, Vanguard Real Estate Investment Trust is down 23% over the year. Rocket Mortgage, right, is down almost 60%, and Redfin is down 80%. The CEO of Redfin recently said, and I quote, "If falling from $97 per share to $8 per share doesn't put a company through heck, I don't know what does." And that was the CEO of Redfin. So, guys, a lot going on out there in the marketplace. And then this week, also, First Guarantee Mortgage Corporation filed for Chapter 11. And the CEO, to quote the CEO of First Guarantee, it says, we sought Chapter 11 protection because of significant operating losses and cash flow challenges presented by unforeseen historical adverse market conditions for the mortgage lending industries, including unprecedented, there's that word, market volatility. So a lot is happening. And I will say one other thing. Eddie and I have talked about this, and we talked about it in last week's monthly update, but mortgage originations. So they are actually adjusting mortgage originations down for 2022. There were 4.3 trillion mortgage originations in 2021, $4.3 trillion. They are saying that it could drop below 2 trillion in 2022. That is the news for this week, and it is time to introduce, our chief visionary officer, founder of Note School, all-around great guy, Mr. Eddie Speed. How are you this morning, sir?
Hello, JoJo. How you doing?
I'm doing great. I wanted to bring some good news to everybody this morning. I wanted to be a bearer of good news.
Joe, there is so much going on in the market, and we just did the market update last week. And honestly, we really could have done the market update this week for a whole show.
Yes.
Literally. and had great new information. Forbes had a big article about mortgage layoffs, naming several companies with thousands of layoffs,
Literally thousands,
mega thousands.
Yes.
So that industry is in turmoil, and you can imagine if they did almost $4.5 trillion last year, and they're afraid they're not going to break $2 trillion this year. You don't need a 10-key calculator to figure out what the problem is, right?
You definitely do not.
Joe, I'm gonna tell you something, and our guest today is, I believe, going to prove to be a very smart guy.
Absolutely.
And the reason that is true is because he read the tea leaves and he made adjustments to his business. Now, there's going to be people to come to Note School that are reading the tea leaves at the moment. Joe, we train people of various levels in our business, but there is a level in our business that I talk about the top 200 house buyers or the top 300 house buyers, but we have pretty good connectivity with the top 20 house buyers in the business. I had an opportunity to have lunch this week with one of those big operators, and they have not been forced to consider any of the things that Note School teaches, because quite honestly, 90 days ago, those guys could sell to the hedge funds for about $1 and a dime, right? They didn't have to buy a house at a deep discount. They could package it up and sell it to the hedge funds. And I have confirmed with 3 significant sources this week that all of which were operating substantially with flipping houses to hedge funds. 90 days ago, 120 days ago, all last year, that there is essentially no hedge fund left that is buying. Yeah. So understand, when we talk about market changes, it isn't just the mortgage industry. And so our guest today, it was a guy that was not scared to embrace change. And he embraced change even when maybe at the moment he initially did it, he was just being a visionary and thinking what was the market to come. So I'm quite impressed with this guy, because a lot of guys wouldn't have the nerve to do what he did. But I think his early adoption is going to prove to be smart. And I hope he's encouragement to people that just haven't adopted quite yet.
For sure.
With that being said, Joe, I want to bring our guest on.
Yeah.
Mr. Gary Cooper.
How you doing, Eddie?
How you doing, pal?
Doing well, sir. Doing well.
Hey, Gary. How are you?
How you doing, Joe?
Good. Gary, I meant everything I said. Yes. I've met a lot. There's tens of thousands of you guys in the business, and you've had a really easy run for the last couple of years.
Yes, sir. Yes,
I mean, the easiest by far it's ever been.
Yeah, wholesaling and flipping definitely allowed me to have a lot of success in the business early on.
So whether you were flipping directly to the hedge funds or you were flipping to a reaggregator that was selling to the hedge funds, it was the capital and the price that the hedge funds were paying that made the wholesale business so easy, because you didn't have to buy a house at a deep haircut.
That's right.
Right.
That's right.
It's not 50 cents on the dollar. You could buy a house because they were paying so much and the market was so fluid. And by the way, whether it was you or the companies you were selling to, they had institutional money in place. They didn't have to go coordinate a mom and pop closing. And I know that market. Believe me, I've seen the note space in that market in the past, and I've seen institutional money leave the note space after 2008. And basically it annihilated most note brokers in the business because they couldn't assemble all the convention parts of the business. Now, what I want to do today is I want to talk about your journey, what led you to this business, what life experiences did you have even before you entered real estate? Mm-hmm. And then I want to talk about your real estate journey a little bit. And then I want to talk about, as I made reference to it, you have really made a commitment to reinvent yourself, reading a market situation before a lot of people read it.
Yes, sir.
Guys, I'm going to let you get to it. I'll see you in just a few minutes.
We'll see you, Joe. Thanks. Okay, so Gary, give us a little bit of your background.
Well, I was born in a little town outside of Lake Charles, Louisiana. Moved to Houston when I was in my teens. Went to high school out here, and after high school, decided to serve in the Marine Corps. Did that for 4 years. After I got out of the Marine Corps, didn't really have any idea what I wanted to do. I just knew that I wanted to start my journey in business to have success one day. So I got into the fitness industry, working at 24-hour fitness, also going to school. But as I got into that industry, I received a lot of good education and training on business,
Mm.
and realized that there was a great opportunity for me there. So I ended up staying with 24-hour fitness for about 7 years, and had a good level of success with them in the management within their company. Um, but as I was with 24-hour fitness, growing, developing, and learning, it's funny because I was always reading books about how to become better. And one of the things that I remembered is anytime I would read a book and it would talk about millionaires and where millionaires, what industries they come from. Almost every book that I read would talk about how 7 out of 10, 8 out of 10 millionaires all made their money in real estate. So even back then, I knew that eventually someday I was going to get into real estate. Um, after 24, while I was at 24 Hour Fitness, I met a gentleman who owned a few oil and gas companies. He and I developed a great relationship, and because of the success that I'd had at 24 Hour Fitness, he hired me to be a sales manager for one of his engineering and processing companies. So I departed 24 Hour Fitness, went to the oil and gas company as a sales manager, and then over the next 7 to 8 years, I rose and became a senior vice president of the engineering and day-to-day business operations. Um, Again, as I progressed in that business, became more educated. Uh, Oil and gas is a fantastic industry with great people, but I, again, I knew that I eventually wanted to get into real estate, and a good friend of mine who's been in real estate since 2005 asked me to partner with him, and we were going to start an investment business. He had always been on the retail side. Well, we came together. We started a business, and initially started wholesaling. Um, and after I'd been in business with him for about a year, like you said, the business has been so great over the past few years. Uh, we had done well enough where I was able to resign my position at the oil and gas company and go full time into real estate. Um, at that point, he and I really started doing well. We, over the next 3 to 4 years, were able to wholesale and flip probably 30, 40 houses a year. Um, and well, like I said, I had a real good time of it.
Yeah.
Learned a lot, met a lot of great people. But I'll tell you, one of the things that he and I noticed is after a couple years in the business, when we had really gotten pretty good at wholesaling and flipping, we realized that we were leaving a lot of money on the table because there were still opportunities that we weren't able to take advantage of because we didn't have that last tool in our belt of learning how to use creative financing to take advantage of those. And knowing what I know today, I realized we probably walked away from 50 to 60% of the opportunities that we got in front of that we could have gotten had we have had that tool in our tool belt. And then, well, so he and I came to the point that we decided to go different directions. I wanted to really focus on owner finance, and he wanted to go some focus on some other things. And I well, I got to the point that I really wanted to go down this path, and I'm not just saying this, but a good friend of mine who I trust told me that if I wanted to learn this business, there's only one place to go, and that I needed to go to note school to learn about it because you, Eddie, were the best in the industry, and from what he had told me, that the education that note school offers is second to none. So I did my research and ended up signing up for one of the classes that you guys offer, the tax info.
Well, I appreciate that. I'm not a smart guy, but I am seasoned. So I think really you've look, we listened to your business background. You were in the military. You were in management of 24-hour fitness. You were a sales manager. I mean, like you operated having to look not only at the market at the moment, but the market ahead of you, and you understood that.
Right.
I think anybody could figure by last fall we were going to have a lift in rates. They were screaming it, right? We're going to have a lift in rates. I'm not surprised that rates are where they are, and I'm not going to be surprised at where I think rates are going. Right? I think the Fed chairs kind of made it really clear.
Sure.
The wholesaling business will change a lot. I'm not gloating that. I'm not trying. It just is what it is, right? The old saying of never waste a crisis is going to be the theme of the day. And I think what I'm so impressed about you is you made a transition in the business before it was absolutely a necessity. Now, as you know, that some of the biggest operators in the business and all the downstream, because it is a trickle down effect, they are all, feeling different levels of it, because obviously there's a huge amount of institutional money that's left the market, which it was how houses were getting flipped into that world. So what I want to talk about is what you're seeing at the moment, what transition you're seeing at the moment as far as that. And now, let's assuming things don't really get as bad as Eddie thinks they're going to get. Let's just assume that these things are kind of where they are now and they don't get any worse. We don't really go into a recession, although the Fed chair says we are. We don't really see any more of increase in rates, although the Fed chair pretty much is promising we're going to see it, right? So let's just say at a medium level, just the runway at the level it's at right now, not this, but this, right? Just flat. So with that being said, where do you see applying this to your business? Because you said that you now said something really important, and you've passed on all kind of deals. So
right.
I'm going to do this. I'm going to talk about, I want to have a word from our sponsor, because this is what changed some of your mind. And when we come back, we're going to talk about some of the strategies that you now know to apply and how you're applying them. Let's hear from our sponsor. We'll come back and talk about the plan going forward.
Well, hello, everyone. It is Brian with the teaching team here at Note School, and I'm excited that I get to be the one to invite you to the upcoming Gold in Notes class. That's right. It is a one-day deeper dive class that we call Gold in Notes because of how valuable this time spent is. This is a full day that we really get to dig into the nitty-gritty, the whole world of creative financing, not just how to acquire more deals, how to get access to more capital, how to defer a lot of the taxes for us as well as for the sellers that we're talking to, and really learn how to create your own notes. And really, once you learn how to create your own notes, this is really where we spend an entire afternoon really pulling back the curtain on what the note business is, from wholesaling notes, buying and holding performing notes to really build your wealth. I'll even show you a strategy called partials, which is by far the best wealth building tool I've ever seen in the real estate space. And we're definitely going to spend some time talking about non-performing notes, which is by far the biggest opportunity in today's marketplace, solely because of the events that have happened over the past couple of years. This is when people are not paying their mortgages, and we're going to make a lot of big money from these bad debts, and we're going to help a lot of people get a second chance. It's an absolutely fantastic day. Come spend a day really dig in and discover a lot of this stuff so that you too can start building your wealth. It's a day meant to really be engaging. Bring your questions, bring your comments, bring your business problems, and we will see you there.
Welcome back. Our guest today, Gary Cooper, a former full-time house flipper. Now he's transitioning his business, and you're not exclusively in creative financing, but you are headed in that direction. Let's talk about what you've changed.
Well, the biggest change has been just having the knowledge that I need in order to be able to sit in front of a seller and offer creative financing. Before I had this knowledge and was able to offer creative financing, I might be able to contract 2 out of every 10 houses from sellers that I sit down with. Over the last month, since I've learned how to do this, I've sat down with 4 people, and 2 of those I would have had to have walking away doing if I was only wholesaling and flipping, but I was able to put those under contract and using creative financing. And what that means is not only did I get the deal, but these are deals that I would have walked away and gotten zero for. Now, over the life of this deal, if we look at it on a 7-year basis, I'll end up making well over $100,000 on each deal. So number one is just being able to take advantage of the opportunities that you otherwise would have walked away from. So I don't know if that answers your question, but that's where I am in the business.
Well, all of us in areas of our life, we don't know what we don't know until we know it, right?
That's right.
And that is life. It's the journey. You know, I said this, and I'll reiterate this, like, because I have so many years in the business, that because we scrape so much data, because we knew the mortgage industry is in gigantic turmoil, because we could make any reasonable assumption that we're this escalation in rate and the affordability of payments and hedge funds, you know, people say, well, what happened to the hedge funds? How come they aren't buying? It's pretty simple. You can't buy houses at a 4 cap when rates are 7%. It's pretty simple math, right?
Yes, sir.
Those boys in New York aren't dumb, right? So understand the financial models that they set in place because of this escalation in rates drastically changed their financial models. And so smart for them, not so good for the market that they were buying from. And I was reading, you did a great write-up, by the way, beautiful. You have a direction. I want to compliment you. You really have a clear direction.
Thank you.
And basically how I've read what you said was, if the market just kind of stays where it is based on my current vision, if the market gets worse, meaning bigger opportunity for creative financing, then your numbers probably are going to change. But you're thinking you can do a deal a month and everything's just like it is right now.
Well, I mean, since I've started with Note School, I mean, which has been roughly 6 weeks, I have 4 properties right now that I'm going to sell with owner financing. And so 1 a month is my minimum expectation. I'd expect to be able to do more than that if things stay the same. But based on everything that I've heard, they're not going to stay the same. And I'll even tell you this, Eddie, I've been having conversations with friends of mine. One of my really good friends who's flipped probably 150, 200 houses in the last 8 years. I've been speaking with him about everything that I've learned and how to do this. And he's actually going to sell his first deal on creative financing in about a month. He just put it under contract about 5 days ago. So everybody that I'm talking to, all of my friends, about what I've learned and about the direction of the market, and they all are motivated to figure out a way to incorporate this into their business, because everybody expects that the market's going to change. Even if it doesn't, like you said, there's still a great opportunity to use this tool. But if it changes the way that everybody says it is, if you don't get out in front of it, it could be a really tough time for you.
Well, I think that in the wholesaling business, I think that the institutional money essentially leaving the business, I think there's long ripple effect of that, right? And it's funny, like, that was not a market trend to the degree it is now. It only really got that way after the virus. And of course, you know, the question every wholesaler has. And once again, I know there's hundreds of people in the Houston area that wholesale houses. They're not wholesaling to the hedge funds. And they say, well, this doesn't affect me. I'm not wholesaling to them. No. The guy you're wholesaling to is selling to the hedge funds.
That's right.
right? I mean, I know I know how the money flows. And so understand that I think this will be an impact. And you say, well, why does it matter? And it's simply a matter of it's easier to offer cash price if they have less discount. And that high demand price that they were paying for these properties let you guys buy properties and not have such a battle with the customer over discount.
Right.
They were discounting it some, but not to the degree that the other market would want to pay for them.
Sure.
And so that, along with the affordability thing, which is obviously in the news every day. I mean, you know that. And those are all the things that are going to drive you to, with creative financing, you get to, it's your chalk and your chalkboard. And I want to leave here with this. What you described to us is impressive. And thank you for that. And thank you for your compliments of Note School. We do our best. A guy in 6 weeks has got 4 deals, from this. Like, what did you know? What do you know now that you didn't know 2 months ago?
I don't think we have long enough on this podcast to go through it all. But first would just be the understanding of how to put creative finance deals together.
The thought process.
Exactly, the thought process. And of course, in addition to that, Note School has so many resources to show you how to actually put everything together. Because I can tell you from my standpoint, there was a bit of fear with me, because when you think about putting together a mortgage and putting together notes and things like that, that sounds like it's complicated, which it is, but it sounds like it's a little too much to get your hands around without some guidance. So me coming on board with Note School and having, number one, the people around me to be able to learn from and get direction from, to be able to put this type of business together, is invaluable. So
it's a toolbox. I mean,
Yes,
otherwise somebody would have to wait till they're an expert at everything to go close their first deal. And the truth of the matter is that's not practical. And the reason the house flipping business became pretty simple to you is because there were processes that were developed in the early days. When I worked with Ken D'Angelo, the guy that founded Homevestors in the early days, those processes, a house flipper had to do a lot more things, and he had a lot more it wasn't as well defined. So what we had to do in the creative finance thing is do what other wholesalers did many years ago, and it's define the process, because you're a smart guy and you can follow the yellow brick road.
That's right. You're not. Yeah, that's exactly right. And well, again, a testament to Note School is that it was so easy to follow that direction, that it didn't take but a couple of weeks and watching a few videos to be at the point that I could start to implement the creative process.
I don't understand a lot of things well. Joe, come on back in here, because I want you to be in on this too, because I'm going to give Joe 1,000% of the credit. Joe and I don't understand everything in life very well. I think all you got to do is ask our family, right?
Yeah.
But when you've been doing something a really long time, you get to the point where you can reach the points of simple execution of those various things that you need to accomplish. And the most knowledgeable person is probably the one that can explain it in a simple, doable way. Yeah. Right. There's always somebody that you can sit around at some real estate meeting with and say something, you walk away from there and you're like, I don't even know what they said. You've ever been to that meeting?
Yeah.
For sure. I've been to many of those meetings.
Joe and I are very impressed with you, Gary.
Yes, sir.
I appreciate
and congratulations. First of all, thank you for your service. Thank you for your years in the military and your contribution. And you're a solid cat, and we enjoy coaching you. You are. I got to tell y'all something. The very first time he showed up on a coaching call, he had a deal that wouldn't work.
Just got to swing the bat.
And he did, and we were appropriate. We didn't beat him up over it, but I'm like, Gary, I'm just telling you, sometimes the deal you walk away from that won't keep you up at night.
That's right.
And walk away from this deal because it's just not got the math to it. And the thing is, I was so impressed is that you didn't argue about it. Yep. You didn't fall in love with the deal that wouldn't work. And you went right out and went and found another deal, like literally the next week, and boom, there you go.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
And that was so long ago. That was ancient history. Like,
a month ago,
right, guys?
Yeah, something like that. No kidding.
Yes, sir.
Gary, we're grateful to have you. You are an inspiration for a lot of guys out there that I believe are going to find a great opportunity if they'll embrace the idea of reinventing themselves. So good luck to you, sir.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you guys so much.
Okay.
All right, guys. Well, again, an amazing episode, an amazing guest, right? And, one of the things that Eddie and I always say is when we bring on like news stories like we did at the beginning of the show today and talk about what's happening in the mortgage industry and, big banks and hedge funds and Rocket and Redfin all laying off folks and so on. Guys, what we do here at Note School is we show you how to, well, you heard Eddie say it, right? Never let a good crisis go to waste. And we're showing you week by week, day by day, how to do what Gary's doing right now, bringing in, adding creative financing. So creative financing comes to the rescue, right? And I've seen it, Eddie's seen it from 1980 until today. I've seen it from 1990 until today. And you've got a guy that's been in the business here for 2 months, right? Been in the creative finance side of the business for 2 months and seeing it. And it's all about what we say. And our big motto here at Note School is that, at Note School, we show you how to close more deals. Again, more information on what we do, noteschool.com/TV. And as we say every week at this time, we will see you on the other side. Bye now.